What a good warm-up.
Yeah, just...
Four stamp, four strength, leather belt. No rehearsal. No rehearsal.
No rehearsal.
No rehearsal.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Ed. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the PALcast, revamped, week 2, subtext 0.5. Fuck, I don't know.
It's 6, isn't it? Episode 6?
It's 6, is it?
6?
Is it? Yeah, I think it is 6. I'm a great host.
Is it? You son of a bitch, don't fucking test me.
I don't even know, man. So we're back for another week of gaming news.
How are we doing, guys?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I hope you've had a fantastic week.
It's Ethan, Ed, and Aaron as usual.
Yes. Hello. Hello. I figured you'd know us by now, or resent us, I don't know. But we're going to be kicking it off again, probably with some esports news. But what are you guys talking about this week?
We're talking about the same shit we always talk about. Video games.
Yeah,
Let's
video
get
games.
stuck in.
Specifically, what are you guys going to be touching on?
Oh, I'll be touching on some community news. We've got some interesting stories, bit of Scandels news, a few cheaters in the mix.
Yeah. Not the Dr. Disrespect form of cheating like last week, right?
No. This is just specifically gaming cheating this time.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Ed, what are you going to be talking about this week?
Same as usual. Going to jump into some release news, some dev news.
Cool.
Everyone loves EA still.
For some
the
reason.
usual stuff.
That will never cease to amaze me. Cool, man. Cool. Well, yeah, I'll be touching on Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch League this week. And I guess to jump into that, we had a pretty interesting set of games this week with Tempo Storm and Team 12 for the North American standings vying for the top of it. They played a full 5-set series, which I think went across like 3 or 4 hours. They had, it was
Holy
incredible.
Shit.
They had like 3 30-minute games. It was incredible. But we'll jump into the first clip.
Just quickly, for anyone who says esports players aren't actual sports players, you try playing a video game for 4 hours at a competitive level.
That's what I think a lot of people... Yeah, exactly. They don't take into consideration how mentally exhausting being in that competitive mind frame can be. So,
like, this isn't just, playing Forza, having a few sips of beer or bomb or two in between each race.
It. It's like
you can't do that on a professional level. You can't rip a cone. You can't do that.
As much as I bet some of them wish they could. They actually can't. But
could you imagine? Sorry, could you just imagine that real quick? Like, just a real stressful scenario, and it's like it gets down to the last player, and one of the spectators is just like, "Nah, fuck, man."
Well,
no, there is.
I'm not going to name names, but I've been to a few competitive games before, and I definitely see some players looking a lot hypier after a bathroom break than before the bathroom break. So, actually, just a quick sidebar. I think Cloud9, one of their ex-Call of Duty players, or when he played on Cloud9, came out in an interview and basically admitted that the whole team was taking Adderall at the time of their success.
Yeah, that's right. I think we talked about that at some point.
Very briefly, yeah.
And
I think it's moved that the Esports, or TESPA, the Esports Association, are going to be really cracking down on anti-doping in esports, which is good news. But moving on to the actual esports news, this was a clip from Game 1 of Team 12 versus Tempo Storm last week. It takes place on Dragonshire, and it exhibits some of the prowess of Glaurung on his favourite hero, Zeratul, and its new rework. We saw Glaurung absolutely dominating on his favourite Zeratul, without the assistance of Fan on Tassiter, who between the two of them, they absolutely worked famously together. You see Glaurung start the clip at quite low mana, and he uses his abilities almost perfectly. Saves his blink for the ETC slide, cleans up the Tychus and focuses his targets he needs to really well. And it carried Tempo Storm to their first victory.
Having watched that fight, that's totally like a Scottie Pippen effect there.
Really?
Where Glaurung's the Jordan, right? So Pippen's open. Like where he goes up high, draws the team away. Meanwhile, he's got his team down low, sort of chipping away on damage, leading to a multitude of kills there.
Yeah, leading up to the opportunity that led for him to get the Air Jordan's dunk, as it were. Sports ball. 2 weeks in a row, we've got sports ball references, guys. I'm impressed. They were both Michael Jordan references, though. Last week it was
baseball and Space Jam.
It was baseball and Space Jam. Yeah. Moving into the second clip. We see Team 12 doesn't just fall over. Like I said, this goes to a full 5-set series, and you can see them at the start of this clip. Tempo Storm is posturing up quite nicely around the Immortal on Battlefield of Eternity. So they're posturing up around the middle to fight for the objective control. However, Tempo Storm gets a little bit greedy, as it were, and doesn't play in perfect synergy, and Team 12 definitely capitalizes on this in this clip. Tempo Storm at the start of it got a little bit antsy, moved in at not the right time, not as a unit as we'd seen them play together in the previous game, and unfortunately Glaurung gets picked, followed by Sam and I believe Cattle as well, and this translated into a late game team fight which we'll watch, which pretty much sums up how this game goes. Tempo Storm tries to defend the enemy Punisher in the late game, the enemy Immortal, sorry. In the
Punisher.
The Punisher, punish me, daddy. They try to defend the Immortal before it gets to their keep, but unfortunately they are not so lucky, as we will see in the next clip.
Oh boy!
So yeah, they get a perfect sanctification. Fan goes down on the grey main. It's another story of them just not moving in synchrony.
Oh my goodness.
And then
team wipe?
Yeah, team wipe onto Immortal onto Keep. And that's pretty much the end of the game.
That's the game! Sports!
We like sports, we don't care who knows.
From the wrap-up jokes, from the... fuck it.
It's gone. It's gone.
I fucked it.
So again, we see... Tempo Storm got a bit rattled from the early game, and they're moving in not great synergy. Again, they try to dive Cure, but we've got Justin playing fantastically on his Tyrael. He pulls out the Sanctification to save Cure. They pick Fan, and with the Dansky on Li Ming, it just absolutely cleans up. So that was a pretty expected end to game 2, and also more to the point, Team 12 was very, very successful on this map last year with Glaurung at the head of it, so they know how Glaurung wants to play this map. They know he wants to go off and get that side soak, and probably didn't let him as much. And it's kind of that issue when a good player moves from team to team. You know their psychology behind drafting and whatnot.
Yeah.
However, it's good to see Glaurung more on just the playing role, not the shot calling role, and it's allowing him to focus on the big plays that made him quite famous in the first place. But moving on to the next game, we had an absolute doozy of a game. It pushed into 32 minutes or something on Volskaya Foundry, and it ends with an unfortunate fight on Justing. Team 12, they get the pick on who is that? That would be Cattle. Cattle on the Anubarak moves in, and he gets caught by Justing the Roots. However, June on the Oriole comes in and stasises him. Buds, unfortunately, Twilight Dreams a little bit too early, and they can't get the pick on Cattle that they want to. You'll also note that that little symbol there, this map is based on items and whatnot, so they had the 2 healing camp things, so even though they were getting burst down, they had 2 massive heals that were going across to their team. But you watch this, he survives, gets the shield, CC combo, web wrap, kill the Justing, kill cure, and then this is pretty much just late game, march down, and finish the core. A pretty standard game.
Absolutely. Now, this would be a pretty telling matchup as well in terms of the HGC itself, because I remember last week you were saying that both of these teams had a bit of some synergy issues to kind of work out, right? So
yes.
This might be a bit telling in terms of who's going to get it together earlier and start playing to their full potential based on their roster, right?
Definitely. I would agree that this is very telling of it. Both of these teams have had issues, like you said, with synergy, but also late game shot calling. So to have multiple games in a single series between two teams, multiple games between the two teams that go over 30 minutes, it really is testing of like every decision is paramount. Like you saw at the end, they were like, "This is our pick. This is our last chance," and just a split second on one ult made the entire difference on a 30-minute game. It was like back and forth and defense, and they would get the protector and move down the top lane, and it was really a test of endurance. Not only this whole series, but just in general. The whole game was very much a testament to Tempo Storm's patience as well, because they were down for a lot of it, and then they post 20 minutes and level 20 really brought it back with some good players.
And it only takes one good call against one bad call to turn a game around, right?
That's exactly it, man. This game is entirely made up of good calls and bad calls, and a lot of the time your entry back into the game is not the good call that you make, but the bad call that your enemy team makes and how you punish it. So that brings us to 2-1 in favor of Tempo Storm. Moving on to Towers of Doom, you'll see quite early in the game, Tempo Storm found themselves down with only one altar left to defend themselves. And Team 12 still having 24 core health. Each of the objectives in this takes between 4 and 6 health off the core. So Tempo Storm was like this for the last 15 minutes. They nearly really stuck close and nearly sold this series on the game 4, but unfortunately they were not so lucky. Nothing really that exciting from game 4 of this series, unfortunately. It was a very much a game of Tempo Storm getting punished in the early game and then just struggling to stay in it for the remainder of the game. Not dissimilar to what happened in game 2, actually. It was clearly evident that they had lost the early game quite easily. So going back to what you were saying, Ed, not only is it a part of the synergy and the late game shot calling, like I mentioned, but also the team's mentality if things don't go right. You've got a lot of teams, and historically in HOTS, the teams that are the best because they never lose and they only know a winning mentality. But it's the quote from 300, make a god bleed and you know you can kill him, essentially. Like, even gods can bleed, is the verbatim quote. And I think that's very true with a lot of these very destructive teams in Heroes of the Storm, is you just need to break them once and show that they can be beaten, and then it all kind of comes unraveled for them, especially in the early game, because they need to keep that synergy up and the momentum, the tempo of the storm, as it were.
As we see in an intense game 5.
Our very intense game 5. So we bring it on to Infernal Shrines with the Punishers.
It's also good to see as well that there's a lot more of an objective shake-up in all the maps that they use for the competitions as well, rather than just constant team fights.
Very much so. Oh, team fights are...
Like, they're inherent.
They're inherent,
important,
of course,
but it's nice to see that it's not just laning and, you know, strategic fort takedown and getting the quickest path through the core and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Like in the last battle, which admittedly wasn't super interesting. It had probably one of the more interesting objective types. Of
course. You can watch a lot of these last fights between pros, and you watch them at quarter speed, and each move they make is integral. If they stutter for 1 second, that might be the distance they need to interrupt or something. Those split-second decisions are super important. However, we see some pretty... I'm not going to say it's disgusting comp cheese from Tempo Storm, but it's a very abrasive comp for this map. Just going over their comp: Ragnaros, Alexstrasza, Medivh, Anubarak, and Greymane, you've got this team which they're all amazing characters within their role. Medivh is probably the best at catching people. Alexstrasza has the best sustain. Ragnaros has not only got a sulfurous smash, but as you can see, his trait where he goes up into a fort and throws down lava waves and whatnot. They're a very, very sustained team. And
a very siege-based team, right?
Because
you've got Ragnaros hold up on the towers,
exactly.
And you've got Nubarak just bombing the crap out of everybody from a distance, right?
Yeah.
And just holding them out, like... Between Medivh and Alexstrasza's sustain, June has popped his ult, which is Cleansing Flame. So it's like a strafing run. He'll periodically hit parts of the ground, which you can select, as you can see in the lava waves appearing on the ground, and that will damage enemies and heal allies. So he is just clustered this whole team up. Malfurion and I want to say Tassadar are just getting nuked by him, while Glaurung and Sam are dealing with Goku and Buds on the back. So they've basically just got this hyper-sustained comp that split the team in two. You've got two groups of two just absolutely dominating the other two from the enemy team, and you've got June coming down. I'm so happy to see Alexstrasza, at least in a map-specific situation. In that map, you've got to spend a lot of time in one area posturing over this specific part of the map, and having her massive AoE heals it just keeps the team alive. It's fantastic, and I'm really glad to see new heroes coming into the meta. Speaking of the meta, actually, we'll jump into a quick meta snapshot of Heroes of the Storm based on the first couple weeks of the HGC. Now, this is Korean, European, and NA stats combined. And just the honourable mentions, we see Jaina with a 70% win rate. I think this is very indicative of the fact that Hanzo and Genji are getting banned in effectively every game. And the games that she has won so dominantly, neither of those have been in existence. However,
it's brought Jaina straight back into the meta because everyone's sleeping on the old damage queen.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. We're also seeing a resurgence of burst meta now that two supports has well and truly died out. You've got a lot of comps that have double tank or bruiser tank. Not dissimilar to Overwatch, where you'd see one tank to defend the enemy team and then one tank to engage on the enemy team. It works pretty similarly. And
so like a D.Va and a Reinhardt combo or something like
exactly,
that. Yeah.
That's exactly the mentality. Some form of shield and then some form of...
Getting a lot of Orisa as well.
Exactly.
In that role.
Well, I stopped playing Overwatch just as Orisa came out, so it's been a while, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll jump back into Overwatch soon, but the sentiment I was going with the double tank, you're having a lot of your Tychus, your Malthiels, your percentage damage heroes coming in and cleaning up. But looking at supports, because the burst meta is coming back in with a Noob and Li Ming and Jaina, it's unsurprising to see Uther and Karazim at the top because they're easily the best single target burst protectors in the game. But good to see Stukov creeping in. Unfortunately, he only has a 43% win rate. However, it's better than no involvement rate at all.
Yay, I'm involved!
Yeah, and he will give you a good shove.
Make him dance when I say that. Just like cut out the little square and, yay, I'm involved!
I got you, fam. Just quietly going to pour one out for my fallen homie, Muradin.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to see that he wasn't in the most involved tanks. Another quick point I'd like to bring up, it doesn't actually have him here, but Greymane has had, I think, nearly a 100% involvement rate across all regions in HGC so far. So that means he's always getting picked or banned by one of the teams in every single match of every game.
Wow.
But he only has, I think, globally a 34% win rate.
So it'd be mostly bans, I guess?
Mostly bans, but it's more a sentiment of you can pick Greymane at your 1-2 spot, your first picks, and no one can read what sort of draft. He fits into everything.
Yeah, true.
And I think just because he has such a large sample size, the win rate isn't as true to what it could be.
Yeah, fair enough.
But just rounding up what we had for the standings for Heroes of the Storm in Europe, we unfortunately saw Method fall to Fnatic and Dignitas this week. Unsurprising, because they are both very, very difficult teams. Dignitas up the top with the fat 3-0s. They've 3-0'd every single person they've versed so far. Fnatic dropped a series to, I want to say it was Zealots this week, which was good to know. I was talking about Zealots and how they needed to pick up their game because they were such a strong team last year. But really, Leftovers could be doing a bit better on the 0-3. However, it's anyone's standings at the moment, and it's a case of you need to win the games you're expected to win. It's something that gets brought up a lot in these sort of tournaments, where if you're a better team and you're not 3-0ing to get your good map score, it makes a difference when it comes to the playoffs and whatnot, and that 1 or 2 game difference could be what would make or break. But moving into the NA standings from this week, we actually see Team Freedom take the top of the standings. While Tempo Storm did beat Team 12, they unfortunately fell to Team Freedom the next day. And as you can see, the map score is already being important because Tempo Storm has had more 5-game series and not 3-0s. They're actually behind Team 12, despite beating them and despite having an equal win-loss ratio to them.
Yeah, wow. Do you reckon a bit of fatigue came into Tempo Storm's loss against Team Freedom as well?
I definitely think, if not fatigue, which I definitely think was the case, there was definitely an argument to be made that Tempo Storm probably slept on Freedom a little bit, and not so much slept on them, but put more of their scrimming and practicing focus around the win on Team 12.
Yeah, right.
Also with Team Freedom, they've got a player by the name of Equinox, and he's a fantastic shot caller and a fantastic core caller, but someone in the HGC, one of the casters, mentioned that there's a very big habit of teams with Equinox going fantastically earlier in the seasons or splits and then falling off towards the end. So it'll be interesting to see if they can retain this lead that they have on the North American standings. But I think that wraps up Heroes of the Storm news for this week, and we'll be jumping over to some Overwatch news quickly.
What's going on in Overwatch, Alan?
I'm sorry, I'm dying. Overwatch League. We actually had a bit of a mix-up this week. Well, not a mix-up, but a shake-up, I guess you would say.
Shake-up!
Shake-up! We are seeing a lot of the undefeated teams actually take losses this week. We saw Excelsior defeat the Dynasty, which gave Dynasty their first loss. We saw, I want to say it was the Fuel. I'm just going to watch this because I don't know for certain.
Just on the Excelsior, I am absolutely hard for Pine right now.
Yeah, Pine is a fucking god.
Killing it. I caught last week his week 1 play on Ilios as McCree, where he carried a 5-0. Fight to take the point for his team.
And he's an absolute beast, man. I tell you what.
In fact, but no, yeah, is my player of the league at the minute.
Well, it's actually quite funny. In that situation, when I'm just gonna let this roll because I need to get the team right. I'm fairly sure it's the Fuel.
So much to cut.
Yeah.
Oh, so much to cut.
Oh, no, it's not. I can't.
It's okay, I got it.
It's no, I take this out. No, it's boring.
Boring footage,
No. I take.
I will find this because it's interesting to what you were talking about.
I can't. The magic of edit.
Oh,
Gatto.
I got to listen to this all to find out when the real talking starts again.
I'm really sure for all intents and purposes it was the power.
Oh, so much to cut.
So,
either way, we'll look up the video, and then if you're wrong, we'll just put up the graphic.
You're wrong, Aaron. I'm fairly sure it was the Philly Power that they lost against, though. And it was interesting what you were saying about Pine being so dominant. They decided to not play Pine on Game 5 between the Power and the Excelsior, and they unfortunately lost that match. Not because of it, but I think people would argue that maybe having him there might have been more useful. However, in this instance, it was on Lijiang Towers and not on Ilios, and apparently Lijiang Towers is much worse for a McCree. Farah can easily counter him. But more to the point, we move into New York versus Seoul, which...
I got
it's multiplying. Excelsior.
Yeah.
We see them play on the Moon
This map.
Colony map, Horizon, I believe it's called. And we see quite an interesting defense tactic from the Dynasty. They go a full dive comp to defend with. So their comp against Excelsior was a Winston, a Tracer, a Mercy, a Zenyatta, a Diva, and a Genji. So it's pretty easy. The Tracer, the Winston, and the Genji dive together with the Diva, and then the healers keep them alive, and they kill everyone. But I just wanted to focus on Excelsior's attacking comp. They went 4 tanks, double healer. Just like a full fucking meme comp that I really, really want to try.
It's like, alright, you want to dive, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Seriously. Well, the thing is, it's a dive defense, so they're engaging with...
Yeah.
They've got the Lucio for the move speed, and then you've got these 4... I think one of the terms they called it was a Moira meatball. So you've just got these 4 tanks, and then Moira, who's got like a bouncing orb that can heal. So she bounces her orb at the 4 tanks, and they just get all healed. And then you've got Zarya's shields, and Rodog self-heals, and it's just a mess.
And everyone behind Reinhardt just pumping out the damage.
Exactly, and we can actually see them, they move in quite a unique fashion. Instead of going out right traditionally, where people will go out into the low gravity area of Horizon, they all just hunkered down left, moved together, got right around the point, and then forced the team to face them on the point.
Right.
We saw a few muck-ups from the Moira, actually, which nearly may have cost the game for them. JJ Onak, I'm going to call him for all intents and purposes, he pops his ult a little too early as the Junkrat grabs his ult, and thusly can't use his escape and teleport to get away. However, we did see Excelsior take this series, and I think they played quite well from what I saw of them. It's good to know that not only can these top teams fall from this week, but also that it's proving that Excelsior is the strongest team in the Overwatch League at the moment, which there wasn't that much argument behind.
I like to call that the fly swatter comp, I think. Because it's a good visual with the Tracer and the Genji zipping around and a bunch of big tanks going like, get away.
Yeah, just got Reinhardt just careening around with his big hammer.
And if they're all supercharged because of Lucio, that'd be fucking the funniest thing to
Exactly,
watch.
they're also, speed boost.
Turn it up.
But yeah, the Boston Uprising, which were refuted as one of the weaker teams in the league, actually took the series off the London Spitfire. London Spitfire being just regaled with profit.
With his cocaine.
With just big bags of cocaine, yeah. My biggest sentiment to Boston and the power is you've got teams like Excelsior, which, no flame, I honestly could give less of a shit. It's a 5-man Korean roster. It's a lot easier to communicate. Whereas with, I'm fairly sure, the power and the fuel, there's 2 or 3 people where English is their second language. And so you've got like a European, an Australian, an American, and then like 2 Asian people, be they Chinese or Korean, all trying to come together. And their ability to communicate and have synergy still is quite impressive. However, we saw London Spitfire get a bit cocky and played the dive comp into Boston's dive comp. They just went, we know you're good at dive comps.
Copy.
We just don't care. We think we're good enough at this game that we can beat you at the comp that you're renowned for. and Boston just had none of that and shut those nerds down, which I'm really happy to see. Like I'm all for the underdog story, and the clip that we're showing, I think tells that story pretty well. It's definitely an underdog story for Boston, and I can hope they put some more points on the board pretty soon. I'm just going to jump over to standings now for the Overwatch League to figure out where we are at the end of week 3. I think we're already into week 4 is actually underway as we're recording this. Oh, that's a heckin' big borf. That was a heckin' big borf. Alright, so we see Dynasty at 5-1, followed by Excelsior and Spitfire also at 5-1. And then we've got a second group of Outlaws, the Valiant, and the Philadelphia Fusion, all at 4-2.
I'm almost certain that's Valiant.
Yeah.
The Valiants? Or not Valiants?
Yeah.
I'm certain it is too, actually.
I thought I wanted to correct you before you do it, like, for the entire season.
No, I knew it was as well.
I heard
Real
Valiant, and it took me a while. I'm like, where is Valiant?
People start getting real mad at us.
and then there'll be some people from LA going, "It's Valiant, you idiots!"
Yeah,
And
there
then
was this.
we got the Philadelphia Fusion.
Fusion.
And then I've got nothing.
You got the
else.
LA Gladiators.
Yeah, the New York Excelsior. You can just say it correctly.
And then you've got the Dallas French team, the Fouet.
So we've got two pretty easy to see packs. Unsurprisingly, Dynasty, Excelsior, Spitfire at the top, and then Houston taking out 2 games this week to bring them to 4-2 and the top of the middle of the pack. We'll see if the Dragons can put one on the board this week.
Come on, Shanghai!
No flame. They're the heart of, like, I'm going to show you this entry. We'll bring up a clip for it. It's got the Dragons doing, like, Kung Fu and stuff.
Aww.
They're the cutest.
Aww, Shanghai Dragons!
Yeah,
They win the House Spirit Award.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's why I like
And
them.
they earn a big cuddle from me. So
Yeah.
anytime you're ready, Shanghai Dragons, come on over to Australia and get a cuddle.
Yeah. Well, you've got love in Australia.
Yeah.
And give me some of your money.
Yeah.
give me that sweet esports dosh.
Yeah.
But speaking of esports, I'm gonna pass it over to my friends.
Wow. Okay, after a quick break, we'll be back with some more news.
Hello.
Hey, we're coming at you with some release and dev news now. How we doing?
At you hard and fast.
We had a great week last week. I've been just pelvis deep in some Dragon Ball. It's been so much fun. It is a great game. If you haven't picked it up, I insist that you do. Even if you are not a fighting games boy, it is awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I played literally my first round just before we started recording this. And my nipples were erect, to say the least.
It just fills you with that sort of giddiness. Like,
Yeah.
There was a part when I was doing this story, I was playing, like, Teen Gohan or something. No, I was playing Adult Gohan through the storyline, and I had a particular fight with Cell, and then it gave me this mad interruption. It's like, oh, you don't have even a touch of the power when we last fought. And it's like, fuck you, Cell, you don't know me! And just, like, wailing on them. Like, all those, like, great storylines that you've built from Dragon Ball Z originally really do translate well. But go on, Ed.
No, I think I agree with you. I think that's the best element of the story mode, right? You get all these unique interactions depending on who your team is and who you're fighting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
whenever Yamcha's in the team, you usually get some sort of cutscene where his partners are talking about how awful he is at everything, and like everyone's like driving on him because he's too weak for this like massive event to have affected him.
Yep.
They're like, "There's something interesting about you." Oh, I know what it is. But so we've got some more excellent games coming out this week.
Cool.
And Shadow of the Colossus is being remade, and it's so exciting. We're coming out February 6th, my boys.
February 6th.
February 6th.
Nice.
Excellent news. So if you haven't played Shadow of the Colossus before, and you're keen to, by fucking God, get this game.
It's only on PlayStation, yeah?
Yes.
PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
PlayStation 4.
Well, I will be playing it at yours.
Possibly one of my favorite games of all time.
No, since we've been talking about it even on the show and just in general, I've wanted to play it for ages, but I'm like, can't really be bothered getting a PlayStation 2, but so now
Or
I will.
3, even
or
just
whatever. Whatever.
And my god, it looks gorgeous.
It really does.
It looks so beautiful. The original game, I think, was one of the most ahead of its time visually games that have ever come out.
Yeah.
And this one just looks incredible. I'm going to play it.
Excellent.
You should play it.
Yep, I probably will.
Go take down some giants.
And you will also expect to see it on this channel in not too long of a time either. So keep your eyes peeled from that. If you want to see us or see one of us poorly slay tall things, then come along and say hey.
And I think, low-key, one of the better stories that have been written for a game as well.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's definitely that sort of tells a story without telling you too much.
It's a show not tell. That's right.
Very, very well. And they
excellent.
do it fantastically as well.
Good. All right.
We've also got UFC 3 coming out.
Yeah.
Today, I believe, February 2nd.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who's the cover fighter for this? Is it Connor again?
Connor.
It should be fucking Snoop Dogg because he's a commentator, isn't he?
He's a commentator on one of their shows. It's where they display up-and-coming guys that are trying to get into the UFC.
But realistically,
Uriah Faber.
Don't get me wrong. If Snoop is an avid MMA enthusiast, then by all means. But I presume it's going to be a lot of shit dogs.
Oh yeah, it's so much of that.
Yeah.
Oh dang, he got
look at that move.
hit.
Yeah, exactly.
How good is my Snoop Dogg
motherfucker
impersonation?
Yeah, all that nonsense.
Fun tidbit though, along that sort of news as well. Just speaking of MMA, Ronda Rousey has announced that she will be joining WWE.
Oh, she didn't just announce it.
She featured.
She rocked up.
She rocked up. She's this isn't a feature. She is in WWE now. Not the games.
Wow.
Real life Ronda Rousey throwing down.
Full-time contract. She came out at the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
Pointed to the WrestleMania sign 3 times. That means she's fighting at WrestleMania. That's the way it works. You point to the sign, you go into the show. You laugh, but I'm not joking.
No, we're laughing about how it's pretty much the equivalent of voting.
Fun.
You go to a sign, you point at a person 3 times and say, that's who runs our country now.
Fun drinking game. Fun drinking game for the Royal Rumble. Take a drink every time someone points at that sign. You will be dead within the hour.
Is it kind of like an actual competition where whoever points at the most gets to go to the show?
It feels that way.
Sponsored the most.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's the way they work commercially over in the WWE. It's just they need to be constantly reminding you, hey, this is on. Hey, guys, don't forget to watch this. It's coming.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about.
That.
Anyway, back to UFC 3.
Back to UFC 3. Unfortunately, it's suffering from the problems that all UFC games face, where one element of the game is fun, like standing up and punching, and the ground game ruins it by being an overcomplicated,
super technical,
hard to do mess.
Yeah. And where if you've got 2 players who are both the same skill level who only know how to stand up and punch,
luck.
it's the funnest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But if you've got someone who knows how to play the game, they just submit you in 30 seconds in round 1. You're like, well, I don't want to play anymore.
Neat. Yeah, absolutely.
It reminds me of the drinking game we played when we were 18, Ed, where you have to do a Bacardi 151 shot if you were tapped out in the first round, vodka in the second round, and then Midori in the third round, I think. And so now I'm terrified of UFC games.
Yay!
Yeah.
It's a flashback shit.
Yeah, it was some
like
literal
a
flashback
PTSD non-flashback shit. It's like,
not the 151! Just let me get to second round, man. I can't do another 151, man.
It's got me in a leg lock. Oh, jeez. Wake up in a cold.
Yeah, seriously.
Wake up in a cold sweat.
Actually, oh god, no.
Kimura!
Is that an early armbar? Oh my god, no. Sorry. Continue.
Instead of helicopters, you hear Joe Rogan at night. Speaking of EA...
Yeah.
Some news that's going to make everybody love them again.
Yay.
In a couple of months, Battlefront 2 is getting their microtransactions
Yeah.
And
back.
why is that?
I don't know. Investors will like it, I guess.
They didn't sell enough copies.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well...
Because they had the loot boxes in! You fucking uneducated cavemen! I'm sorry! You didn't make enough money because you implemented this shit system, and then you're gonna, we didn't make enough money, so we're gonna put this shit system in! Fuck you, EA!
Well, I've got
I hope Microsoft buys you and you both burn to the fucking ground, you fucking shit cunt. I'm sorry.
Well, I've got some good news for those smug folk that didn't buy the game and took photos of the shelves fully stocked with Battlefront 2 and were like, tee, that'll show you. Now your stock price will drop. EA's stock price just hit an all-time high.
Hell! What? What game?
I don't know.
No.
Stock prices at an all-time high.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
They still shifted like 9 million copies of Battlefront 2.
Oh my god! Yeah, because it's such a good... It's Star Wars. Everybody loves Star Wars, no matter how much you say you hate it.
See, the funny thing about this is everyone was so pleased with themselves. They're like, oh, that'll show you, EA. I'm not going to buy it.
Take your
And
wallet,
they got
guys.
even more money.
Fucking goddamn it.
All-time high. How cool is that? But good news.
Just now today, I want to kill myself.
EA CEO, Scott Jorgensen.
Has killed himself? Oh, sorry, what?
Poor Scott.
Sorry,
EA
Scott, I
CEO
didn't mean
Scott
that.
Jorgensen said that Battlefront 2 has been a bit of a learning experience for them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, fuck off.
It's politician talk.
So it's
Yeah.
what they've learned is we're just going to put fucking microtransaction it from the start and you can suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah, seriously. It clearly doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like...
So on following on from the EA news, or I mean,
Anything that will bring our blood pressure down.
yeah, everyone, calm down, because
everyone, specifically me.
last week there was mention of quote unquote live elements in the Dragon Age game that is currently being worked on.
Oh yes,
And people shat their pants because they're thinking, oh no, Dragon Age is getting microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone flew into a panic. Good news, this week, producer for that game, Casey Hudson, has come out and said, like, chill your pants, like, calm down, put some ice on it, because we're not getting microtransactions. Seems like live elements is referring to some kind of, like, post-game.
Yeah, from what I've read, it's like adding story. It's more like organic things. It's not going to be you do this quest line. It might be a la like Skyrim, where someone stumbles into you in the forest and it starts a quest line. That's what I took from the live.
Okay.
Which I'd be fine with.
So what? Just like live quest updates and shit like that, essentially.
I guess maybe. I'm not sure.
Because I haven't played Dragon Age. Is it like, what is it? Is it like an Elder Scrolls style RPG?
Closer to like medieval Mass Effect.
Oh, okay.
And it can also be turn-based combat as well.
Okay. So yeah, adding in more quests and more story for that. Yeah, that's a sick live element.
If they put more effort into it,
Better than
microtransactions.
and also
Hey,
with
Aaron.
BioWare,
Anything but
It's much better than microtransactions,
we
isn't
got
it,
some
Aaron?
more good news from BioWare, though, didn't we, this week? Did you hear about that?
Probably, no. Enlighten me.
We found out that... oh, shoot. What's the game? The Rocket one, Destiny one.
Anthem?
Anthem has been delayed until 2019.
Boo.
We did bring that. We brought that up last week.
Was that up last week? I
Yep.
thought we did. I'm fairly sure we did. But yeah, that going along with that, with good news, we were a bit worried. We've mentioned worry with BioWare in previous PALcasts, and it's good to know that they're going, all right, you guys really aren't happy with these things. Let's take a hot minute back and try and actually take... Oh, jeez. I never thought I'd say this, but take a page out of Ubisoft's book and stop for a hot second and actually go, we're not going to release a game this week, but next week it might be better.
although they need Anthem to be successful, because there are rumors among the traps that if it's not a commercial success, BioWare might be getting closed down.
Oh fuck.
There's also talk that EA might be getting bought by Microsoft too.
That can only be a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Microsoft is much more corporately responsible than
Absolutely.
EA in terms of taking care of its consumers.
Yeah.
Taking care of business.
In other fun news, Monster Hunter Worlds is just going to be the most novel, amazing experience, I think, because they are leaning so hard into how silly it's going to be.
Yeah.
We've got Ryu and Sakura skins from Street Fighter
Yay.
coming to Monster Hunter World
Yay.
through a quest line. So, PlayStation 4 will be getting these first, because I think
Capcom did a deal with
Yeah. So they're going to be taking after PlayStation users first, but everyone else will eventually get it as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you can literally be Ryu running around with a Mega Man Palika, like just in full Capcom steez. I love it.
That's
I love
fine.
Give me these forever.
Yeah.
Give me this silly nonsense
Oh,
forever.
100%, yeah.
I was even kind of thinking that because does Tekken do is Tekken Bandai Namco?
Absolutely is.
I really, really want a Goku in a Tekken game. Like, just...
I would love, like, a King outfit or Armored King outfit in Monster Hunter.
Yeah, or
That'd be
no, that's
amazing.
Bandai and Capcom.
Oh, yeah,
that might
true,
be
true,
difficult. But yeah, I love crossover, so I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Also, and with the kind of tongue-in-cheek humor of Monster Hunter as is, like, has been the same throughout the whole series. No matter what you call your character, for instance, the guild mom still calls you Doodle. Like, it's always Doodle no matter what.
Godspeed, little doodle.
Godspeed, little Doodle. So yeah,
Godspeed, little doodle.
Godspeed, little doodle. He'll be back.
but yeah, so yeah, I'm all for Monster Hunter being, just as ridiculous as it is serious in time now. Because you need those humorous bits after running from like a 600-foot dragon.
Definitely.
You need a little light at the end of the tunnel.
It's got
when
that
you're
really
like,
camp
"Oh, boy."
JRPG humor to it, which I absolutely adore.
100%.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just there's a little tidbit that happens. You know how the palicos cook for you before you go into a hunt. There's a moment where you're getting your fish fried up, and then it pulls it off, and this like MasterChef cat goes, and then like puts a bit of garlic on top of the rosemary on top, and it's just like those little bits that really make the game great.
Excellent.
So yeah, as a fan of silly things, I'm glad that they're leaning right into how silly this game's going to be.
Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely.
Couple of big bits of big news for Switch players.
Yes, yes.
A couple of, I think, really, really good indie games coming to the Switch this week.
Yeah.
So first of all, you've got Night in the Woods. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but it's like a 2D story-driven kind of adventure game. It's not
I'm
really
already liking it, yeah.
platform or whatever. It's there's not a lot to it. It's mostly story-driven, so there's not a lot of gameplay. It's going around talking to people.
Yeah.
But
That's fine.
I think the world's so charming and like
I like it.
it's so nice and like heartwarming, and there's
Wholesome.
like nice artsy bits to it where the design's very cool.
I
I think it's
lying on
worth.
the couch kicking our legs up behind us.
I think it's absolutely worth having a go at if you're on the Switch and you haven't picked it up on Steam or whatever yet.
Yeah, cool.
Very fun. We've got SteamWorld Dig coming out on the Switch as well.
What
SteamWorld Dig.
Yeah.
SteamWorld
please elaborate.
It's one of the spate of 2D like Minecraft-esque games that happen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
So kind of like, what's it called? Like
Terraria.
Terraria. That's it.
yeah, along those lines. From what I hear, this is low-key the best one of those.
Cool.
Very, very
Tell
popular
that to
as
some
well.
14-year-olds. Terraria is not the best. Hooray!
I think I could fight a 14-year-old.
I want to fight a 14-year-old.
I don't think I could fight an infant. I'd be like, look, kid, I'll give you the candy back. Just come on.
And something that I'm keen to give a go, having not played it, Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Necro Dancer.
Yeah.
Dude, the soundtrack is amazing.
Oh, excellent.
Danny Baranowski, I think, did it, and he's done like Super Meat Boy. I did the soundtrack for it.
Yes.
So Super Meat Boy,
I am
Binding of
involved.
Isaac, like that really like hard style synth wave. Yes.
So if you're not familiar, it's a like pixel art dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
Where all of your enemies and the map are moving to music.
Excellent.
So on the beat, like
excellent.
people are moving across the grid and going around.
I love those types of games. Anything that incorporates the music into the gameplay like seamlessly like that.
Why
I
have you
am
not played
so on
Fury
board.
yet, dude?
Because
Also
I am
came
a
out on the
novice at life.
Switch last week.
Oh, really? All right. Guess what I'm down.
Fury did?
Yes.
Oh,
Fury did.
Yeah.
give me your Nintendo cummies. Holy shit.
This probably won't be the case on the Switch version, unfortunately, but on the Steam version, you could also import your own songs and have the map move to those.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
it looks like an absolute blast.
Even still, it'd still be mad fun, and I'm so involved with like 8-bit hard electro that it's not even funny.
yeah,
So
dude.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Very
one of
much
those
up
like
your alley.
low key cult Steam classics
Yes,
that people
definitely.
will die for. Like
Yeah.
if you challenge them on it.
But that's not all of the Switch news we've got this week, is it?
No, rounding out Switch news, we've got Switch Online coming up.
Woo! Finally!
Announced-
Does it mean I don't have to have 50 cords running from my Switch into my phone, into my headphones, into my computer, into my Switch, into my phone? And I have to be over the age of 15?
Nope, still that, but now there's an app for it.
Yeah, they announced it's going to be coming out in September.
That's it, though. They answered nothing
Yeah,
about it, though.
cool.
Like,
It's just people are like, when are we getting it?
September.
September. Bye.
What's No, wait, we've got more questions. Too bad.
What is it? Oh, September, I guess.
It's online.
September, it's just September.
It's September. Yeah. So, what'd you get up to in coding this morning? September. Any elaboration? September.
I do remember hearing at the Switch announcements.
Yes,
back-
September.
Yes, September. That it would have like an Xbox Gold element to it as well. So if you signed up to the subscription thing, you might just go, "Oh, cool! Here's Legend of Zelda 2 on your Switch now."
Well, I'm getting the thing in
Yeah.
September.
Yeah.
No, but legit though, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And on that note, I would like to wrap up the news with the following sentiment.
Oh.
September.
Wake me up when September.
starts. Well, welcome back to the PALcast, everybody.
Thought I was going to sneeze, but didn't.
All right.
Oh no, I'm falling! Hey guys, we're alive.
We're back, everybody, and
We're not
super
live. We're just
prepared.
alive. Just.
So, hooray!
Just.
So moving into some community news, some gaming community news.
Mm-hmm.
Start off with some PUBG scandals. We've recently had a 5-day charity marathon for Extra Life.
Great charity, by the way.
Very
great
great
charity,
charity,
absolutely. And one of the events was a PlayerUnknown's Battleground. I think that was the charity stream, to be honest. But as the games went on, it looked like a player unfortunately cheated to their way to victory for this, once again, charity event. Come on, guys. Cheating isn't cool at the best of times, or even worst of times, but during a fucking charity event? Really?
Like, unfortunately, PUBG is pretty rife with this kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. Like, you know, any game's got its cheaters and exploits, but when you upscale a game to that size, it's going to be super prevalent as well. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Like, and being on PC as well, rife with modding and everything like that.
I mean, outside of competition, there's a lot more of a literal, like, monetary incentive to cheat or bot in this game. If you've got people who are farming points for loot boxes for items that can sell for thousands of dollars, people are probably going to do that for money. And yeah.
Absolutely, but especially don't cheat when it's being streamed, hosted by the game's developer.
Yeah, that just...
What exactly is the nature of the cheating we're talking about? Third person, like, peeking, or stream sniping, or...
botting.
No, so it got noticed by an unfortunately named Bustin' the Nuts. So he noticed while he was spectating that this particular player just knew where people was, so like threw frag grenades at positions where he hadn't even looked, knew exactly where to aim, was even commenting on it, knew when a guy was flanking him without having seen him before, and headshotted him without having even seen him, like looking on the stream and
Right.
everything, watching us live.
Right.
He was encouraged to kick him, but unfortunately didn't notice it in time. So there's, you know, you can check out more on the Play Battlegrounds stream. That was up on last night, I believe. Yeah, February the 1st on Kotaku at least. That report was. But yeah, so cheating during a community stream. Well done to that guy. I didn't catch his name, and honestly, he doesn't deserve any more publicity.
Yeah,
Fuck
very,
yes.
very well put.
Yeah. Boo! Boo to you!
I was saying boo words.
In some more scandals and other... Scandalous! So, the Nolan Bushnell, the Atari founder, was being awarded the Game Developer Choice Award for lifetime Achievement, yep, thank you.
First
In the gaming industry.
annual
Exactly. And the GDC actually cancelled the achievement for this year following some outcry. The popular social media hashtag #MeToo, with the girls who've been sexually assaulted, especially around the workplace in this particular instance, the GDC have recognised that. And
was he alleged to have acted inappropriately at some points?
Not only that, it's been confirmed.
Confirmed, has it?
So the GDC, after a day of outcry, after announced that Bushnell, who's 74, had been chosen to receive the award, internet pretty much said, no, that's fucked. Don't do that. Molly Prophet posted on Twitter as well, the Pioneer Award at GDC 2018 should represent all the women who did not have the opportunity to have a seat at the table because they wouldn't take a seat at the hot tub at Atari. Hashtag not Nolan, hashtag me too. The hashtag not Nolan hashtag kind of came up during this day of outcry as well, in conjunction with the Me Too hashtag. That I'm sure everyone's super aware of, especially on social media. And Nolan himself, actually, there's plenty more as well. Nolan replied via Twitter earlier on the 1st of February. I applaud the GDC for ensuring that their institution reflects what is right, specifically with regards to how people should be treated in the workplace. And if that means an award is the price I have to pay personally to see the whole industry may be more aware and sensitive to these issues, I applaud that too. If my personal actions or the actions of anyone who ever worked with me offended or caused pain to anyone at our companies, then I apologize without reservation.
I would respect his words and his actions if they weren't so glaringly written by a PR company. Like, it's just like the format of it. It's just like, I apologize, I am remorseful, I own this situation.
And
so,
that,
well, you clearly not.
And that was posted, it was a picture post on Twitter with him writing a statement from me and then posted the picture of that statement. So, like, look, I appreciate that he is saying, yeah, I'm behind that decision. That's good. I appreciate that he's posted the apology itself and everything like that. And I also applaud the GDC for listening to public outcry and saying, yeah, well, then there's no award this year. So, yeah, anyone who's in game developing or even anything at the moment, any sort of massive thing, just think, if you wouldn't like to be treated the way you're treating someone in the workplace, maybe don't do it.
All of these scumbags must be real upset with Harvey Weinstein, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure a lot of the women are pretty upset with Harvey Weinstein as well, to be honest.
Yeah. Like, I mean, no one's going to willingly throw themselves under the bus, but I take his statement again with a grain of salt. Like, if he was really active in this and he was like, yeah, I do want to make a difference, he probably would have called GDC out themselves. But, whatever. We're making the right steps, and I do applaud GDC for not just brushing it off and actually addressing it and hitting the nail on the head.
And for what it's worth, I applaud Bushnell as well for saying that and for saying, look, I support them for overturning that award decision. That's... amidst everything that's going on as well, that surely couldn't be easy as well. I'm not trying to defend him or anything, especially not his actions back when Atari started, but it was back in Atari in the 70s.
Know it would have been cocaine everywhere. Like,
100%. It was cocaine, acid. There's a few autobiographies and biographies and shit of the early days of Atari.
Really?
And it was pretty much a drug party for 98% of it. The fact that they not only made games, but game consoles is somewhat of a miracle amidst all the drug
I
use
just
and
imagine
partying.
someone like peeking with a soldering iron trying to put the Atari together.
You're not wrong. Apparently a lot of board meetings, the door would open to like a haze of weed smoke just pouring out of the office. Scantily clad women and all everything. So yeah, definitely. Like, picture everything that happened in Wolf of Wall Street, and then picture a bunch of hairy Steve Wozniak types. You've got the right idea of the Atari headquarters amidst the 70s. And again, I'm not saying it's okay. It's definitely not okay for anyone to be assaulted, especially women in the workplace. That's absolute bullshit. But I mean, we weren't in the right era to stop that at that point.
No, it was a lot of porn stashes and a lot of
100%.
vibrato.
Yeah, absolutely.
That being said, it's one thing to make a mistake, and it's another thing to own up to it. And
he's owned up to
I guess
it.
if there's one thing to give him credit for, it's that he's owned up to his mistake.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm giving him credit for. Absolutely. Good on you, Nolan Bushnell, for saying, yep, if that's what it takes to make this industry right and for women to be applauded, do it. And good on you for that. That's
good on him.
Absolutely.
Honestly, yeah.
Moving on to a few more, last little bit of Scandels news I've got. The Scandalous!
So scandalous.
So, the longest standing video game record. How long do you think this record has stood for, you guys?
35 years, because you told me at the start.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, the longest standing...
25 years.
Aaron got it with the power of foresight. The longest standing video game world record has been declared impossible and has been thrown out after 35 years. Twin Galaxies, it's actually an arcade and it's a holder of video game records from the game cabinet days back in the heydays of the 80s and 90s to the earlier consoles and everything like that. Now it's a bit easier because everyone's got, well, like pretty much everyone's got the internet hooked up to whatever console they have, so it's pretty easy to compare your world records with someone else. But Twin Galaxies is essentially the Guinness Book of World Records for video games. And it's also the official source for Guinness World Records, speaking of. They've recently declared one of their oldest video game records invalid after 35 years. Player Todd Rogers has been stripped of his world record for finishing the simple Atari 2600 racing game Dragster after months of debate over his completion time. This debate kind of started around December of last year.
Does it go into detail of, like, why it was invalid?
Yeah, so it does in the article. I'm just kind of
paraphrasing
essentially. This article, is on Polygon. If you're interested in checking out the full thing, but they actually honored holding the world's longest standing record in April of 2017. So the timeline was honored in April of 2017 with a record that has also been recognized in print by Activision. Then in July 2017, a new process for disputing scores was introduced by Twin Galaxies. Almost immediately, that was used on Rogers' time in Dragster in August 2017 by several community members. His finishing time was 5.51 seconds, and they want to put that up for review. They essentially reviewed that starting in December and everything like that. And there was a Reddit user, Omnigamer, said, I do not see how it's possible to hit 5.54, let alone the winning 5.51. And he was using a tool-assisted Dragster emulated mod. So it was essentially using a computer to hit
the TAS, yeah.
The perfect,
so,
yeah, exactly.
Just to explain, in speedrunning communities, TASs are used to find optimal routes. They're often inhuman.
It's not so much a route, it's like getting the perfect shift time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the route, because you can hit the optimal, you're never fudging inputs or anything like that. It just shows what the optimal run is, essentially, yeah.
I'd like to think that the guy that complained has been second place for 35 years.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
Omnigamer. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
Because I could see him in like a darkened room, like sweating bullets, going like, it's not fucking possible.
No,
I don't know how he did it.
He's got a video. There's a video
cheaper.
in the article as well that we'll probably put up a bit up there when we're talking about the tool stuff. He's experienced months of pushback from Twin Galaxies owner Jace Hall on the call to strip Rogers of the record, and Activision founder David Crane offering his public support of Rogers. Community was able to finally fully discredit the fastest drag time racer as impossible to perform.
Well, then how did he do it if he's done it?
There wasn't any proof.
Oh, well, fuck him!
There was people who said they saw it happen. And Activision has put in print that they said, nope, this is our officially recorded fastest time.
Well, I mean, it's not
back in the 70s or the 80s or whatever else.
It's kind of when it wasn't like, no one's going to really take it that seriously.
But now the new top time gamer in Dragster is recognized by Twin Galaxies as 5.57, set by several players, including Omnigamer.
Nice.
One of the guys who originally wanted to call in to review the score as is. Guinness World Records has also removed Todd Rogers from his archive. Rogers' page is no longer available on the organization's website, and Rogers has also been banned from any more competitive leaderboards for any game for Twin Galaxies.
What the fuck?
Right?
Somewhere this poor guy is broken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
like he's probably told his kids about that story. That was his like crowd.
Well, interesting you should bring that up, because there's such a community fallout from this that he posted on Twitter, I think it was, "If you wish to call me a cheat, a fraud, etc., you have every right until you see evidence that says otherwise. Seeing is believing. But when the remarks become personal and my friends and family are dragged into the mire, it is no longer about gaming. People are wishing ill will upon me and my family over what? A high score on a video game? If that is what the gaming community has become, then despite my love for video games and all of my contributions and experience to help the scene grow by playing live at events and supporting the community, it is not worth jeopardizing my personal life and family outside of gaming." He's also continuing to stand by the title Activision awarded him in 1982, however, so good on him. He's saying fuck you to the haters.
Yeah, like initially I was against him, but I'm for him. Like, they're being very petty about it, all things
Absolutely.
considered. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like I beat the time for Kirby's target attack on Super Smash Bros. 1 that was advertised in the Nintendo Power issue. I'm not suing fucking Nintendo because they got it wrong. Like,
But you also didn't put it into Twin Galaxies and Guinness Book of World Records, which I think
True.
is some of the contention as well. Having
True.
that public sort of knowledge about the whole situation, and then all of a sudden that's been disputed or brought into repute as not actually have happened. Then everyone kind of going, well, fuck you, fuck your family, fuck your cow, fuck the horse you rode in on, dishonor upon the whole thing. It's like, oh, okay, it's a game, guys. Remember, like, come on.
He was probably some like 15-year-old dude who just really liked the game at the
Oh,
time.
he's probably like 40-something by now. Remember,
definitely, yeah.
This was a game that came out in like 76 or something for the Atari 2600.
So it's been a shit week for Atari. all
Yeah,
things considered.
Atari has not had a great run of it.
We need like a movie style like drag off showdown now. I feel
Are we talking,
with this Omni game.
Are we talking like Fistful of Quarters, the Donkey Kong rivalry?
Yeah,
sort of,
yeah.
yeah.
Where we get him in like a room with the stadium and
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay, that'd
yeah.
be cool. All right, well, moving on to stadiums and stuff like that. A CSGO fan recently dropped $61,000. I'm pretty sure that's in-game Counter-Strike currency, not actual real-world money.
No. $61,000 US.
US real-world. Holy fuck.
Steam skins are bought on the community with real money, so it was 61,000 American.
Fuck. See, a CSGO fan has recently dropped $61,000 US dollars on a rifle skin signed by a tournament MVP. On Monday, one buyer on a digital trading site, OpSkins, purchased a sniper rifle skin for Counter-Strike Global Offensive, or CSGO, for $61,052.63, one of the most expensive CSGO transactions on public record. You can find out more about this particular one on Polygon. There's an article for it there. Or at least where I found this, or whichever is your other news, gaming news site of choice. But the skin, which is autographed by Tyler Skadoodle Latham of Cloud9, became the first American squad to win a Valve-sponsored CSGO event. The E-League Major, Boston Esports fans, personalities, and pundits already considered the match to be one of the greatest moments in esports, featuring double overtime at the end of the best-of-3 match. So that would be fucking exciting to watch, as is.
And also, just a tidbit, it's the second time that a North American team's ever made it to the finals of a CSGO major. Ever.
That's probably why it pumped up the price so much.
Yeah, definitely.
So the skin's named Dragon Law is the rarest drop in a series of loot crates called Cobblestone packages. The Cobblestone packages themselves are worth $31 at the time of writing, which was, yesterday.
Probably up to like 50 now by the inflation of that.
Possibly. So, in other words, this skin is a math problem of rarity. Not only is a Dragon Law skin rare on its own, but there's also the additional factors of visual quality, the souvenir label, and the autograph. Cloud9's victory at the major means that any other similar skins featuring the team or its players will likely increase in price as well. And as you can see from this graphic on screen, it looks gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, look at the curves.
Look at that. Oh, Oh,
yeah.
I'll get you some. Get you
Yeah.
some.
I'd buy you breakfast.
Give me
I'd
that.
sit down on
Give me
that.
that Scoodoodle signed Dragon Lore.
Is it like literally when you wear the skin in game, it's got his signature on it?
Yeah, and I think because the graphical quality of it as well, it's a lot more, like, the rendering is a lot sharper, so you can see all the autographs, all the stickers.
That's pretty cool.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
pretty
I'm not particularly a CS:GO fan. I could definitely get behind that. But paying 61 grand for a
Insane.
skin that was bought at around 35 grand, like, this dude just made like a 20 grand profit.
True, but like, how much do World Series balls, Game 7
Oh,
balls go
absolutely.
for?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Again, sports. I'm not a sports ball fan, but if I was, I'd certainly pay a lot for one of them sports balls. Especially if it was signed by a sports ball player. Oh, boy.
Especially if he played on the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta Falcons. So yeah, there's that one, which is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, and congratulations to Cloud9 and
Definitely.
to all the players on that for winning as well. Good on you guys. Speaking of Monster Hunter World, going back a bit, apparently the best kills on the game are the accidental ones. So I haven't really looked into it too much, to be honest. I really want to jump into Monster Hunter World and check it out. But I'll have to do on something that isn't a handheld. Boo for me. But they've added in a much more destructible environment, which is cool to me.
It is very cool.
So cool to me. And apparently some of the coolest, which we've got, I think, a video coming up on screen now, of some of the coolest kills that are completely accidental, such as a landslide kill, where, where more than a few players have apparently encountered this since its first beta phases back in December. Tyrannodin also shared in this video above an incredible takedown of a Rathalos, where he pretty much comes across it, runs away from it, that's his mad battle technique, towards the edge of a mountain when suddenly a dam gives away, which releases a massive gush of water, plowing straight into the Rathalos and knocking it off the edge. Tyrannodin safely makes it down from the cliff to see how the Rathalos is doing, and the answer is the Rathalos is very, very, very dead.
It's not doing well.
It's not doing too well at all.
Rathalos, you okay, man? You okay?
It's twitching in the grass.
Alright, hang in there, buddy.
Alright, I'll see you soon for your horn.
I'ma get
skin. I'll get some help. And now, pretty interestingly to me, in particular, I've recently jumped into GTA 5's online mode again, because I used to love playing like that with a bunch of with friends. It's always better. Everyone knows
Definitely.
online games always are.
100%. Especially sandbox ones with that much destruction.
Particularly so GTA, exactly, where you can get a chopper, hang around with 4 friends, and wreak absolute havoc on the city or whatever you want to do.
Of course.
But community-wise, interestingly enough, there's still people who play it simply for the purest aspects of it. In particular, in this article I found on Kotaku about a bunch of like motor clubs enthusiasts. So the article itself is Behind the Wheel with GTA Online's most hardcore gearheads. And the article itself goes into a lot more detail, but the AMS tuning crew, apparently they're about 500 strong, and they organize on private servers car meets. So they've got themed ones, they've got a whole bunch of different ones. This one that the article kind of follows and interviews is a GTR one, and because if you haven't played GTA, the cars obviously model real world car makes pretty closely, so most people will actually refer to them as their real world counterparts rather than what the actual car is called in the game. So Nissan Skyline GTRs was this particular one, and in the couple of graphics that are in the article, which we might pop up, courtesy of Kotaku once again. Thank you, Polygon and Kotaku, for pretty much fueling everything that I've got to talk about today. But yeah, they line their cars up in specific meeting grounds. There's a function to pop the hoods and everything to give that feel of authenticity. Then once they're done at a particular spot, then they all say, drive to the desert, Gran Senora Desert airfield, where they do drag races to kind of see who has the faster car and everything like that. There's even been some accidental typos which have resulted in pretty interesting car meets when instead of 2 doors, someone accidentally typed 20 doors, so everybody bought buses. So that was pretty cool. So it's really heartwarming to see that there is this massive community for this such a particular thing in such an open world, generally mayhem-based thing, such as GTA. They even use a bit of gunfire to lower their rides even more. They make sure they don't have bulletproof tires, shoot the tires themselves, and it lowers them, giving them a more cosmetic look. So it's like they're pretty much riding right on the grounds themselves.
That's sick. I really like that.
It's called stancing. And players do it to lower their cars. Stancing is a real thing that people do outside of video games, largely for cosmetic reasons. And in GTA Online, people have figured out how to do that with an admittedly a bit more violent way using gunfire. So that's fucking sick. Good on you, fucking
Can we
guys.
start a Faggio club?
Yes, absolutely we can. Absolutely.
3 fellas in the Faggio.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's really cool though. Like, I always enjoy the driving aspect of GTA the most. Just banging on one of my favorite stations, taking out my favorite car and driving through the hills. So it's cool to know that someone has taken that to the next level of passion towards it.
It's important to
very
note as
wholesome.
well that they definitely have to do it in a private realm.
Yes.
If they did it in a public server, it even says they'd be sitting ducks. Like,
They just get griefed so much.
absolutely, because if you think about it, like, that's hundreds of thousands. Some cars are like $100,000 more than that just to initially buy, and that's before you start putting performance upgrades and cosmetics upgrades in the game itself. So some people are rocking $1.5 million, $2 million of car just at these car
fucking
meets,
sick.
which is
That's
sick.
sick.
There's people who even like just collect specific types of cars as well. So like some guys got 7 or 8 Dukes, which is a type of car in GTA, which looks like a Dodge Charger.
Yeah,
exactly,
fuck
yeah.
yeah,
And he's
cool.
got like 7 or 8 of them, so people know who these people are just based on their favorite car as they're
That's-
logging in before they see the name pop up. Like, it's
You
that
can-
sort of community.
You
That's
can imagine
sick.
that from like Forza or something like that, but I did not expect it to come so prevalently with GTA. So
Absolutely.
That's fucking
And
rad.
it's really heartwarming as well, because for some members, getting to a real car meet isn't easy. The guy they're interviewing, I can't remember his gamer tag, but in the UK where I live, there isn't a lot of car meets online. Oh, it's Swiftly. His name is Swiftly. In the UK where I live, there aren't a lot of car meets online. In GTA Online, however, he can own dozens of highly tunable sports cars and estimates he participated in over 100 virtual car meets last year alone. So that's over one every 3 days, which is nuts if you think about it for like a real car meet perspective. Some real car meet people only meet up, I'd say, probably 50 times a year.
If that,
If that.
that would be a lot. I'd say like even 6 to a dozen times a year would be a normal showing for an average enthusiast.
Yeah, absolutely. It even gets in, like, next stop on their way is getting to a gas station so they can go in and buy drinks and snacks and no one robs the place. It's just the next stop on their journey.
Gotta get your P's and Q's, man.
Absolutely,
exactly.
and your ego chasers. So that's pretty much it for my community news, but as usual, it's a new tradition I started last week, so why not keep it up? Ending on a nice light-hearted gaming community note.
Good news!
Good news, everyone!
Good news, everyone!
So there's a game called Elite Dangerous.
Yes.
Fantastic game, by the way.
I haven't
Space
actually
Truck
played it.
Simulator.
It's so good.
But yeah, I'd like, look, anything space is great for me. So good on you
I had
guys.
some Elite Dangerous time for a while there.
Good fun.
Very good fun.
Would you say it was dangerous?
But
I'd
elite?
say it was elite.
Excellent.
I avoided danger at all costs.
Well, speaking of danger, some players have banded together to save cancer patients' expedition from griefers. This article is up on Kotaku as well, so if you want to check that one out. But since January 13, a group of elite dangerous players has been journeying across the galaxy to reach Dove Enigma Station, named for a member of the expedition, Brandon Dove Enigma 13, Keith. Keith is fighting terminal cancer. So essentially, it's the Enigma expedition traveling across space to reach the Dove Enigma Station. The trip's pretty leisurely sightseeing tour and charity drive, assembled for the benefit of both Keith and his 5-year-old daughter, and it seemed to be going smoothly enough until earlier this week, griefers struck. If you don't know what a griefer is, they're pretty much a person whose sole existence in a game is to make it less enjoyable for everybody else, and that's where they get their enjoyment. It's pretty much a gaming troll. I mean, look, everyone's got their own reasons for doing stuff in game. There's no wrong way to play a video game. If you get pleasure from that, good for you, I guess, but what a fucking dick move. Like, it's a charity drive for a guy who has cancer, and he's just
Almost
having
as
fun.
bad as cheating on a fucking charity event.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It wasn't even an event. This is just like, hey guys, we're doing this because I've got cancer and I might not make it through, and I'm also doing this for my 5-year-old daughter. It's pretty much the nice version of the Walter White scenario. Essentially, the space station, it had been discovered that had been taken offline by some enigmatic assholes, as they put it. They essentially did this by employing an exploit that makes it possible to shut down some stations by overloading them with items called unknown artifacts. The net effect is essentially an alien cruiser attacking the station itself, which shuts it down. So the next day, the elite developer Frontier said in a forum post that it too suspects that to be the case, and they also apologized for adding the feature that made this exploit possible to Dove Enigma in particular. They essentially said, look, we've heard about your charity drive, guys. That really sucks. We're so sorry. We're working as hard and fast as we can to kind of get you everything back and make sure it's all up and running and good to go again. But on the good news part of it from the community side, said that there's no need for major changes now because players have already rallied to reverse the effects of the shutdown. Hearing of the Enigma expedition's plight, another group of players banded together to collect and deliver mass amounts of meta-alloys, an item that can counter-effect the effects of the unknown artifacts on stations. So with this staggering outpouring of support, we're confident that the shutdown will be averted as Commanders arrives at Frontier. Essentially, it's the equivalent of an in-game crowdfunding event. So Commanders have heard about this and gone, fuck yeah, I'll help for that. And for now, the Dove Enigma is saved. So well done, Elite Dangerous players. Not you fucking griefers, fuck you guys. But, sure, they can try and take the station offline again, but now they'll probably run into a bit more resistance. And let's also take a moment to mention the basic core concepts of humanity, such as morality, decency, love, karma, and meteors by which they will one day inevitably be crushed by. Oh. Well, anyways, that's all I've got for community gaming news this week, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that's all we've got this week for the PALcast.
I do believe.
But coming up later on this week for the Neon Bear Trap in particular.
Hate those up.
Whoop whoop! We've got the next episode of Anger Management coming out again with N++. I think I'm taking the reins this time for this one.
Your week this week.
Woo woo! Yeah, so once again, be prepared for a lot of fucks, a lot of swears, and a lot of...
always ready for lots of fucks.
Lots of fucks, as many fucks as we can.
I'm all about the fucks.
Oh, yeah. And just like to take a quick mention to, at least for me in particular, Kotaku and Polygon, sourcing you guys out a bit, and help me get that gaming community news to you guys. So, yeah, thanks for listening, everybody, and we will catch you later on.
I love you.
Bye.
I also love you, but on a platonic level, so don't get any ideas, you...